it's not true that young people sort of aren't really interested in politics. They seem very passionate about issues, but they don't really know how that matches up with party politics or why they should bother to vote. And what we're telling people in the city centre particularly is that, there are over 3,000 students registered to vote here, and the Conservative Party would need an increase of 150 votes from their result last time. So 3,000 student votes could swing the election for any party. So we want really to make them aware of what power they have in their hands. People who get involved when they're quite young is quite often, maybe it's something to do with their family, but quite often because of where they live or something that really affects them. I lived in the North East, home of old Labour, and also the beginnings of New Labour. Peter Mandelson was my local MP, and if one meeting with Peter Mandelson isn't enough to make anyone a Tory for life, I don't know what is. So that was what did it for me. We have the youngest membership this year across the 32 wards in Manchester. We have more female candidates than any other party. We have more candidates from ethnic minorities than any other party. We're the most representative of modern Britain. We just haven't won any elections yet, so we're hoping that this year things will change. Event today, William Hague coming to speak, and we've been advertising it on campus as an event where essentially they can air gripes, if you like, about democracy and why they maybe don't vote. And because it's a topic that Ronnie's particularly interested in, young people, getting them involved in politics, getting them to vote. He was really keen to be the speaker, and just talk about why democracy is important, how voting does matter, it does count. As you say, the students in this ward could determine the election for any party that they wanted to, so they do have a great deal of power. Thanks very much for all coming this afternoon and giving up some of your time. It's an excellent turnout. Really glad to see you all here. It's ironic that we've been able to pack this room with people when the topic that we're talking about is apathy about local politics and about elections and about people not wanting to vote.
There's this new thing, what is it, head cases, that started in the last, which shows me with my pints all amassed, but which is fine. That's obviously what I'm going to be known for decades.
What William doesn't know is that one of our Conservative future branches has an initiation called a Hague-a-thon, where the aim is to drink 14 pints of beer. So thank you for that, and thank you very much for your time today, William Hague.
Can I just ask you how you found the talk?
Yeah, it was really interesting. To be honest, I thought maybe we'd have more people actually expressing why they didn't want to vote, but nobody seemed to be kind of on the hill, so they remain a mystery for now.
We're getting a really good response. Like I said, a lot of hard work, long days, a lot of walking, but no, it's good. 24.
It's really unusual for someone so young to be running.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to get involved, was because there's a real lack of young people, and especially young women, in politics. And it's an area, it's a group of people that are really underrepresented. So I wanted to kind of encourage more people my age to get involved. Young people seem to be so disillusioned with politics at the moment, and I think that's a real shame. I think it's only because there's a lack of people kind of our age involved. I think that's the reason why. So.
Why do you think it's important to vote?
Because I don't think people realise how much of an effect they can have on their local community, and what impact people can have by getting involved. I don't think people understand how much they can impact on that. And that's only because people are disillusioned and apathetic. And I think once we've kind of re-engaged people and they realise that so many people are bothered about particular things, when they realise that they can actually change those things and they can actually have an impact on those things, I think people will start to get more involved. But at the moment, I think the current situation, the way politics is at the moment, people just feel like there's no point.
Do you use Facebook groups?
It's sceptical of Facebook as a campaign tool. I'm on Facebook for my personal use, but doesn't really make up for actually going out and speaking to people on the doorstep or on the street corner. So no, we don't use Facebook.
I would have thought that's quite surprising, because a lot of political groups are trying that, and obviously you're young. So.
I think this is from a totally personal point of view. I almost find it quite patronising the way a lot of older politicians try and use tools like Facebook to try and engage with younger voters. Facebook to me is something I use to keep in touch with my friends. I think there are better ways to engage young people to vote. To actually just be honest with them and to talk to them reasonably like adults is probably the best way, I think.
Look, turnout is a huge problem everywhere, and everyone knows that. So I think we've got to be really radical in breaking down the barriers to voting. What I'd like to see is voting online. People can vote at 16 onwards. Voting on Saturday and Sunday instead of this mad sort of Thursday, weekday, which is from the last century. And long term, and it's not going to be, be a mixed reaction to it, the council should have its own TV channel in Manchester as well.
And what would you broadcast from that channel?
A lot of me, of course, and just the council debates, council committees, and a whole education awareness so that people don't have to pick this up from dry books in school. The council's got to go visual, got to have its own TV channel, without doubt. It's just really important to vote. I mean, it's really, really important to vote. Personally, since I've been 18 and able to vote, I've always seen it as a fantastic privilege. When you see things going on in the world now, like Zimbabwe and that, where people have voted but people take no notice of it, and there's large chunks of the world where people are not allowed to vote. So I think it's a real privilege to vote. And I know younger people think town halls are as boring and as dry as anything, but decisions made in town halls and in this actual council chamber here affect every resident, and particularly every child in Manchester. I mean, I went to school in Manchester, and the education that the council provided me in Manchester allowed me to go to university and go back to Colliers and Harper Hay. The best thing about being a councillor is that you can be a community leader and you can give something back to your local community. And in my case, I just get a huge buzz because I was brought up in Colliers and I went to school in Harper Hay and I represent that area and I know hundreds of people in that area. And the buzz I get of helping people with serious problems in that area, because we have a lot of poverty and a lot of disadvantage, is the greatest buzz in the world. Giving is everything in your life. Do go out to vote, whatever party, do go out to vote. It's a huge privilege.